It is 7 o'clock and we will call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please consider the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Can you fix that? We seem to have a little bit of feedback. All right, we're up.
We're not on there yet.
You're down on the bottom over
Oh, okay. Thanks for your patience, folks. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on a non-agenda item? And if so, I need a paper to tell me that. Okay. The approval of the minutes?
Motion to approve minutes as is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 1, under regular items. Public hearing to receive comment and make a recommendation of an ordinance amending the Town of Bartonville Code of Ordinances. Chapter 14, Exhibit A, Article 14.02, Ordinance 361-05, zoning regulations for the Town of Bartonville to establish a conditional use permit for a restaurant with drive-through and approving an accompanying site plan on the 1.34 acre tract or parcel of land situated in Lot 3, Block A of DCF WSD number 7, Retail Center Edition in the Town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The subject property is located west of the intersection of Justin Road and East Jeter Road in Bartonville, Texas. The applicant is Jennifer Gansert of Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. on behalf of Andy's Frozen Custard. Staff presentation.
Madam Chair. This item is again for Andy's Custard. We're going to go through it's not really PowerPoint. It is a version of it because we don't have that loaded on. So if you'll go to the next page, please. Yeah, we go off a little bit. Did it skip the first one?
That's page 2.
Is that page 2? Okay. This site is, and we'll get to these are actually co-locating on one parcel, if you will, at the corner of Jeter and 407. This is part of the Lantana Town Center development. So again, it's other than the drive-through and the health permit, all building plans and everything else will be approved through the freshwater district. So what triggers the CUP is the drive-through portion of these establishments. This one specifically, Andy's Frozen Custard. As part of the process, and you have all of this, I'm not going to go bullet by bullet, but I will answer any questions. One thing about our future land use plan, it discusses the fact that all of our commercial development should be contained in nodes. And this is one of those nodes that is suitable for commercial development. It's not suitable in any of our other zoning categories. So again, this and the location being off of 407, again, that'll be the primary entrance and exit to these locations. So again, this is the right location if we're going to have drive-throughs. But again, a CUP allows you to make requests of the people building this as it relates to that drive-through component. So whether that's traffic concerns or stacking concerns or those types of things, this would be the method by which you could address those. The parking for Andy's Frozen Custard exceeds the minimum requirement of 20 for the size of the restaurant. They have approximately 27 spaces. Also the stacking, we didn't get a stacking, exhibit, but we did the calculation. It looks like, our minimum is 5. They have 6 for stacking, and they can stack another 8 in the drive lane. So we feel that they've met that need for, the sufficient stacking for the drive-through. The locations of the speakers, which was kind of a concern for Whataburger. These are oriented, away from our residential, and the closest residential is 600 feet, from the site. So again, this has been reviewed by both town engineer and planner, for our, going through our ordinances for distances and parking and stacking, et cetera. The recommendation right now from staff is approval with conditions. Actually, on this one, I'm sorry, I was in interviews all day for our next chief, so I apologize for being a little bit slower today. One thing unique about this is you'll see the drive lane, the fire lane encompasses both buildings. So again, it is a little bit of a shared site. The fire district wanted to be able to get around both of those. So you'll see that exterior loop road will be shared between Swig and Andy's Frozen Custard. And actually, at this moment, for the CUP, the way it's designed and the way it was reviewed by staff, there are no recommendations for conditions. So that's staff presentation. This commission has the power, of course, to add conditions as y'all see fit through this process. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Requirements that are there are the same as we have for Whataburger.
Whataburger exceeded those requirements by a considerable amount, but Andy's Frozen Custards meets those standards. They exceed them, but not by as much as Whataburger as far as the stacking. There's backs more into the drive lane. And the applicant is here if y'all have specific questions as we go through this process.
If the applicant would like to make a presentation, now is your chance.
Yeah, we'll just answer any questions you might have.
Okay,
Can I just ask a question? Now, maybe I'm getting ahead of things, but the second building, which we're really not talking about, but it looks like their exit is going to have to go across these people's property. Is there, or am I getting ahead of myself when looking at the second item on this thing?
Didn't notice the Swig actually has its own entrance, but if there is shared, that would be a condition. Again, Swig is short one parking space, and we've discussed at a staff level. When we get to that, we'll discuss the condition staff would like to see regarding that deficiency of one parking space. And again, similar to that, if they do share, then we would like to see as a condition a written agreement for that shared use. And the town would like a copy of that before a CO is issued.
Question, page 11. Come on. The second item down from the top.
trash receptacle.
Yes. What's the purpose of that cinder block around it?
So that we don't look at the dumpster. Usually it has to meet the basically the construction standards of the site. So that as people are driving through, they're not looking at the dumpsters.
Isn't that the definition of a privacy fence?
No, that would not be a privacy fence as far as residential or anything. This, we may end up with a conflict there, but this is absolutely a condition where we want 100% blocked from view. from
Just worried
dumpsters.
about somebody sitting there using that as an example of a privacy fence that we allowed.
I would not be concerned about that. It's not a privacy fence because privacy fence is on private property in the sense of a residential restriction that we just did with our fence ordinance. This is a shielding of the garbage area. And so I think using it as a shield is enough of a distinction. So I don't think we're going to run across that.
Additionally, we do still, through the fence ordinance, we kept our standards between commercial and residential. So where that abuts, you will still see privacy, if you will, but it's really more screening of the commercial, of the residential from those commercial uses. So it doesn't impede on the quality of life of the people who live close to there. So again, you may see that again, but it's different than a privacy fence. This is considered screening from something you don't want to look at.
Our commercial ordinances take into consideration that our properties that are commercial are still fairly close to residential. So we built things in intentionally into the commercial side of things to protect people. So that too. Do y'all have questions? Okay, I do. And I'm hoping, anything, and I just want to make this statement, anyone coming in to start a business, we welcome. We also want you to do well. So, and at the same time, we, hope that as you're doing well, the rest of us will be happy too. So I looked at your plans and everything looks great, but there's one thing I really hope you can help me understand when it comes to the engineering side of things. And that is the entrance that's 59 feet from the corner of 407, where you come into that, you're only going one, you don't have cross traffic on 407, but there's a deceleration lane. Then you turn right into that basic access to the property, and then turn left to actually go into where the custard place will be. So right now there's minimal traffic there, but we're talking about that property now having two places that are going to have drive-throughs, which generates more traffic than you're not going to come, at least in one of them, sit down, period. You're going to have traffic all over. Custard thing is also going to have an element to that. So is there a reason why that is still that close? I know that you meet the ordinance, but is there any kind of mitigation or does it need mitigation where, right?
Off of 407, this entrance, and the discussion is, as everybody exits, trying to get back onto 407, with this being here, people possibly, the conflict created.
Right. I guess my concern is if people come right and they have to turn left into Custard, and Custard or people from every place else are coming out there because they too are coming to Custard or coming to Swig or just using that, then if the traffic backs up so that they backed up out into the deceleration lane, and people are trying to get out of there, and that deceleration lane has a bunch of cars in it, so they can't see to get out. Am I building a mountain out of a molehill? Could that be a problem that maybe you need to look at some more? Or am I just, my big concern is traffic and safety. So help me.
Great questions.
My name's Jennifer Gansert. I'm with Kimley Horn and Associates, located at 801 Cherry Lane in Fort Worth, Texas, 76102. So yes, great questions to be thinking about. So what you're saying here is you're worried about people backing up in this area, not being able to turn left. So we do also have this drive approach down here, which would be a more natural drive pattern for people to make to be able to come into these drive-through lanes. So my hope would be that if traffic does start to back up, people start to learn the traffic patterns of this area and can come down this driveway, enter the drive lanes here. And that way it's not creating a conflict and backing up into the road there.
And would you see that also being something that the people, even though we're not talking about SWIG yet,
Mhm.
can they not access if they made that first turn and drive over to where SWIG is? Or will this pattern that you've built also encourage the SWIG people to go around too?
Yeah, both drive lane or drive-through entrances are located here at the back of the site. So it'd make most sense for people to come back through the access drive and enter both here, so they're not having to do as many turning movements through the site. Okay. And then another good point to make too is the typical peak hours of SWIG and Andy's are typically offset. They're experiencing high volumes of customers at offset time, so that's why they're a good partner for this singular lot. And so hopefully traffic will be offset and you're not getting a ton of people at both restaurants at the same time. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. So who's in what time slot here while you're figuring all that?
Yeah, I didn't write that down, but I know Josh had that prepared. Josh is with Andy's.
Good evening, Josh Braun with Andy's Frozen Custard, 211 East Water Street, Springfield, Missouri, 65806. So yeah, we actually have several adjacent sites where we have beverage concepts adjacent to us, and it typically works out well for the same reason, just segregation of busy times. Typically, our peak hours are 7 to 9 p.m. And for SWIG, I believe their typical hours are like 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. And then they've also got a lunch hour rush as well. And so we've got a little bit of an offset there, which we see as a good thing.
I figured you'd have an answer for all my angst about this.
No, we appreciate your concern. As always, we're always very concerned about guest safety on all fronts on site and getting in. So we try to address those wherever possible.
While I have you, I was talking to the planner because of where those entrances are, those drive lanes. Are y'all planning on putting perhaps a little sign that says Andy's Custard SWIG to make sure they get in the right lanes as they come through? Or will that be obvious as they come through?
With our signage coming in, it should be pretty obvious. We're open to if we feel like an additional sign is needed right there, to help with directions. We're definitely agreeable to that. I can't speak for SWIG, but I'd say something could be
Wasn't
worked
enough
on.
to make it a condition, but it was just one of those things that we talked about.
Yep.
Could you show me the flow on there about where the cars stack and where they're actually sitting waiting to get whatever they're getting from the custard?
Yep. So drive-through entrances here. Our clearance bar is what we would consider our entrance into our specific drive-through on our site. Our menu board is here, and drive-through stack is all the way around up to the drive-through window at this point. And that's where we actually take orders with an iPad instead of being over a loudspeaker. We like face-to-face interaction. So we have an order taker that works back and forth up and down the line, and it actually helps expedite our drive times. We're typically about a minute 20 in the Dallas market to process somebody through the drive-through line.
Wow.
So it's ticking pretty quickly, but.
So as your cars are sitting there, even if it's only a minute, there's more minutes behind them. Are the headlights going to be hitting drivers on 407, or is there going to be plants or something where if somebody's sitting there with their bright lights on, are they going to interfere with anybody?
Shooting straight out towards 407.
Uh-huh.
Well,
I'll let Jennifer, speak to the landscape plan right out there.
Yeah, there is a series of trees planned along this area, but also there'll be cars parked here, all those parking spaces. So we don't foresee that being an issue. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, so you are saying we should not do anything on a CUP because we don't need anything to put on there?
CUP, we would still have the site plan. So again, the expectation is, as part of the CUP is your site plan is still approved, so they can't make changes through the process. Oh, that was for the, hang on, I apologize. That is for the CUP, there was no recommended conditions. Again, if you're satisfied with the stacking there, then again, we didn't recommend any at a staff level. For the site plan, that is associated with the CUP, we did recommend all parking, area lighting shall be installed and operated so as not to reflect or shine on adjacent properties in accordance with the standards established in BZO section 13.3.7 and chapter 28. Additionally, the trash receptacle shall be screened with an 8-foot tall screen constructed of mason materials of like and similar materials to those of the primary structure. So those were the site plan conditions that we recommended. And that's all we had at the staff level. But again, if they answered the question sufficiently on the traffic flow, then we wouldn't recommend anything there. That would be from.
Are there any other questions or concerns that you would like to ask?
The only other thing that Commissioner Abernathy had brought up, if that area is shared for the drive lanes, we would like to see a basically a shared use agreement across that property if they are sharing any segment of that property for their adjacent uses, and we'd like to see that before the CO is issued.
So we need to put that in a CUP.
Do y'all have any, are y'all just adjacent or is there any shared piece?
It's just one singular lot. So it's one ownership that Andy's and Swig are leasing separately.
Okay,
So there isn't any shared use needed because it's just one lot with one singular owner.
gotcha. So how does that work on handling them separately with CUPs? My question would be, because we worried about the one parking spot short on Swig without a shared parking agreement. But again, if it's a singular loose use with 2 CUPs, Ed?
Well, we're not on SWIG yet, so let's finish up. That's a SWIG question,
Okay.
so.
Well, again, but the concern was that they would be, so I don't need a shared use agreement because it's all one site. The part
driveway.
for the drive lane. Okay, so that addresses that. That doesn't necessarily address the parking on the next use. We'll worry about parking on Swig.
Okay,
We could see the whole thing together. It's hard to fish like that and then the other.
There is a drawing for that.
Is that this one? 73? Is that the one?
Page 28. I think it's 28 or 26, one of the two.
6.
Then I can do both.
The swig is shown in the background. We just have it grayed out so you can tell what is.
Swig's hard to see. Swig is tiny. How many
Yeah,
square feet is
it's
Swig?
super hard to tell.
But when you,
Swig
when
is
you-
740 square feet. It's really hard to make it out because,
This one?
yes,
Does that
please.
page are-
it's
Not that one.
One more.
This, not that one.
That one was
That
good.
was it.
Yeah. So here's the Swig building right here.
Okay,
It's
that's
small.
what I thought, but I
Yeah.
wasn't 100%
And then it's
sure.
the drive
together.
through. They have
Okay.
dual lanes here with an exit lane. And this is the access road that I mentioned.
show how they exit.
They come here, this is their drive-through window, and then they exit either this way or this way.
Okay, so if they go right, they're not on your property. If they go left, they are.
No, it's all.
It's all one property. This is the lease limit line. But it's technically all one ownership.
The dark line around the outside that you
It's
see there,
thin
Larry,
line.
that is the property line. So again, it's all one lot. It's
So
very,
you're not really crossing people's property.
Correct.
Okay.
no, it's very different than anything we've seen.
And it won't
So
stay
when
that way
it's
forever.
platted, it's platted as one.
Lot.
Yeah, Newquest is the owner for all of this, and they're just leasing it to the separate parties.
Don't go across their parking area.
Well, it's, now, again, I'm getting ahead on Swig, but Swig, you said they could exit back to this one. They could turn around and go back out like they came. Or-
Or they could come down this way.
Is there actually room there for them to turn around and go back out that way and miss the, you know, the ordering lanes and all that?
That's wide enough. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we have not had our public hearing, so we're going to do that next. At 7:26, we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this custard store? Andy's custard, sorry. Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, we will close the public hearing at 7:26. You might make it 7:27. We'll wait. Okay, with the public hearing closed, if there's more discussion, now's the time for that. And if there isn't, I will entertain a motion.
Except with the additional information you talked about.
Is it the number 1 and 2 on the site plan, the lighting, the conditions, the lighting and the receptacle? Or was it something else, Larry? No, we got off of that and we're going to put that one on Swig because it's a shared use. We weren't going to.
Accepted as is.
All in favor? Opposed? None. Okay. Item number 2. Public hearing to receive comment and make a recommendation of an ordinance amending the Town of Bartonville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Exhibit A, Article 14.02, Ordinance 361-05, zoning regulations for the Town of Bartonville to establish a conditional use permit for a restaurant with drive-through and approving an accompanying site plan on 0.75 acre tract or parcel of land situated in Lot 3, Block A of DCFWSD number 7, Retail Center Edition, in the town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The subject property is located west of the intersection of Justin Road and East Jeter Road in Bartonville, Texas. The applicant is Rama Madinot of Bowman Engineering and Consulting, Inc. on behalf of Swig Bartonville. Staff.
Madam Chair, we've gone through a lot of this because again, this is something different we haven't seen. It's a co-location of 2 drive-through restaurants on one parcel. Everything applies in this instance as the previous. Again, I'll answer questions, but we have reviewed this location. The one issue we discovered as at a staff level that is not in your recommendations, but it should be, despite the shared location, the leases are separate. We would like to see a shared parking agreement before certificate of occupancy for the one parking space that Swig is short per our ordinances. Again, Andy's Frozen Custard is over parked, per our ordinance by 7. So again, we would like to see that, memorialized and provided to the town, that is, in effect. I'll answer any questions you may have. Again, this is a drive-through only. There is no down portion for this, facility. It is a drink concept that, again, I looked it up online, apparently is growing very quickly along with Andy's Frozen Custard. So I'll answer any questions you may have related to this site.
On
And the applicant
page,
is here. I apologize, Madam Chair.
pardon,
The applicant is here. I apologize for interrupting.
page 64. Whoever wants to address that 37 feet instead of 50, I would like somebody to explain that, probably the applicant or you.
It was actually us. It is more preferred because of the way those drive lanes. Did you get to? Oh, here you go. Would you buy? We're gonna go to that one. That 37 feet actually lines up with the drive that is adjacent to it behind the strip center right there. So it was more important for those to not be offset. So that's why it is 37 instead of 50. When we get there, you'll be able to see it. I need a site plan.
60, page 64.
She's asking about 64, but I think my answer is gonna be,
It's in the center section.
stacking. Yes, but I need the site plan. Actually, would you just go back? I think it was probably on Andy's Frozen Custard site plan. Again, this outside drive lane for Swig aligns with a drive lane that is existing in that center. So we would prefer, see if it's there. Keep going down, please. There it is. Talking about 37 feet distance right here. This already exists. We're asking them, we'd rather them line up with this existing drive lane that exists around the shopping center than have it offset to meet the 50. So again, from a staff level, we looked at that and thought that would be preferred. So that, again, this is all the interior to the shopping center. We'd rather that be offset. It's more dangerous if you have it offset, or we'd rather that be adjacent as opposed to offset. So that's why it's at 37, because it was 37 before. We're not sure how that, of course, we didn't have a lot of approval back when Kroger built.
No, we didn't have any.
So that is why it's done that way, though. It was preferred by staff.
I went through and marked comments on the site plan, but there were some that I couldn't figure out whether they were taken into account or they didn't apply or whatever. Look at, one we know is meats, correct? Then 8 and 9, I didn't see any place where they were addressed, period. Does that mean because everything's hunky-dory? Six,
65.
right, yes. Under site plan, there are 15 things listed. And as we went through, for example, just above where it says site plan, criteria 3 through 7 were met. So I went through and marked those out. And then 2, 10, 11, and 12 were not applicable. And that left 1, 8, 9, 13, and 15 with no comment at all. So I wanted you to clarify what that means.
Landscaping is being shared as far as with the single site, the landscaping requirement. Number 9, the exterior lighting, that is on the site plan, number one, recommended for a condition. And again, all parking area lighting shall be installed and operated. So that's addressed through the CUP or through the recommendation of a condition on the site plan.
Okay. And then 13 doesn't have anything to do with us, correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
In the future, if we're going to list them all, we will make sure that we address them all.
okay.
Good catch.
How is the number of parking spots determined?
That is determined in the zoning ordinance. It's by use. And again, because there's no sit down, it's basically for staff only. There is no sit down capacity. There's no dining room or anything like that. So there's no calculation for it. Again, this is a little unique. We haven't had just a drink shop here where you didn't have anything. So again, it's just a use and it's a calculation on how many employees they expect based on 700 and how many square feet? 740 square feet.
I was just wondering why we were talking about the one short.
Because even at the 740 square feet, they're required to have one more parking than they have. What do they have? 4 and they need 5?
6.
So that's really employee parking.
Yes, sir. But still, our ordinance requires it. So that's why staff would like to see a shared parking agreement that addresses that shortage.
I have a question on that thing about that item, and that is when I go, I'm not familiar with SWIG, so help me here. If I go buy something and I'm not to drink, in fact, there's a place up the street I really like. They have fruit stuff to drink. And I drive through and I get it. Very often I'll sit and drink it and listen to the radio or whatever. So is that uncommon for SWIG to have that happen? Or what do you do with all those people that don't want to go drive down 407 at 50 miles an hour and drink when they'd rather sit there and enjoy it? So are we short? Are you comfortable with that? I mean, are you sure that's enough parking? Even if we require a certain amount, doesn't mean you can't have more. So somebody help me here.
I mean, we've had drinks before. From Sway.
Can you come up?
Rama,
please.
come up, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rama. I'm with Bowman Consulting Group. We're the design engineers for SWIG. So we've been to SWIG as a team. We've had drinks. We didn't have any issues. If you want to sit and drink, we can just park in Kruger or whatever adjacent like big development that has plenty of parking, and we can do it. Or we can just go to the shopping centers and just have our drink, like same as Starbucks. They just grab their drinks and just drink it on the go. Yep.
Is there a reason why you decided to have one less parking spot than we require?
No, I think it's just site limitations. But we can work on that parking agreement within both for both developments to address that one.
My name is Kofi Ado. Address is 2805 Dallas Parkway Suite 310, Plano, Texas 75093. With regards to the first question, yes, the idea being that it's a drive-through, so everybody's expected to get their drink and then go find some place, unfortunately, to drink it. Yeah, so yes, we don't provide that option to park, just like with I don't want to use Starbucks, but just, just to make sure traffic goes through. We don't just let everybody just sit. So similar to the Andy's Frozen Custard, it's also manned We don't have any speaker boxes. You have people just standing there with iPads. So as soon as they take it, they go get their drinks and then they just pull away. So that is the first part. Occasionally, you may get one or two people that would like to do that. That's when they take advantage of the open spaces that are out there in park. But most of the time, they just, you have a car full of kids going to a soccer game or whatever. You just grab your drinks and just take off and go to the park and do that. With regards to the second question, it's one lot. The idea being that it's one owner, it's not being subdivided. We'll look at the option of having that shared parking access agreement, but it's usually very difficult to do because basically you are giving access to the same owner, just two different sections of their property. So it's very difficult to do, but we'll look at that and see how that goes. With respect to that parking shortage, I wasn't aware of it, unfortunately, but again, being one lot, there's over parking on the Andy Frozen Castle side. So if we have to take that extra spot, that shouldn't be a problem. And we are here to answer any other questions you may have for us. And if you want me to talk about Swig, I can go all day about how it is. I mean, it's
Tell us a little bit.
okay. Well, it is a new concept that actually started in St. George's, Utah. Just a soda drink. They call them home of dirty soda. And what it is more of different types of soda with cream or different flavors added to it. So the concept, surprisingly, it gained a lot of popularity because it's a different type of drink. So they mainly sell sodas, energizer drinks, and I think hot chocolate, and then it has cookies and pretzel bites. Most of all the food is brought on site, so there's no cooking on site. It's just heat it up, get a drink, and then just get through. So similar to that, this frozen custard, you take the order. By the time they get to the window, your drinks are ready. They just put it in, and then you go. So they have bobas and all that, and it's springing all across. The closest to you will probably be. Actually, it's under construction, Keller. I just came from the side of Roof Snow next to the McDonald's on 2021. There's one there. If you want ones that are operating, we're just finishing one on El Dorado Parkway in McKinney. The first one we built here in Texas was in Fairview. We have one in Prosper, Burleson. I mean, they're growing all over the place, and it's a very good concept. And I wish I had one next to where I live, but unfortunately I don't. So I'm actually happy you guys are getting one. All right.
Well,
And
I
it's
guess everybody
non-alcoholic.
around here will know soon.
Yeah, it's non-alcoholic. It's just soda. That's just it. So,
Well, once this gets built, it'll give you a reason to come back and visit Bartonville.
oh yeah, I will. I promise. Like actually, I was surprised. I've been to Flormont and other places. Like I didn't know this was here, but my office being in Plano, I'm gonna be coming down here in Argyle and all these areas. Look forward to being here a lot. So, all right.
Do we have any more questions? All right, so thank you. Without any more questions, I'm gonna open up the next public hearing at 7:42. Do we have anyone who is here to speak for? Anyone here to speak against? You guys, this is your lucky night. And I will close the public hearing at 7:44. There's something about having it be the same number that I opened it in that's wrong. Okay, any more questions, or are you ready to make a motion?
I know that we can do share parking and whatever, but and I think we talked about share parking with Marty B's and Cloud9 at one point. Are we setting up a precedent by doing this, or no, we're good, okay,
It's site specific.
okay.
So what do you, if we do the shared parking agreement, that's not a big issue.
Side, this is so
But there's
strange.
two lessors.
Right,
So there's
that was
two
my
different
thought.
Parties here, so I think it makes sense to require that.
I mean, if we don't require it, we're not following our regulations.
Right.
We have
Right.
to do it.
You have to do that, or there has to be a variance, and that wasn't requested, so.
So it has to be done. And there's no way to put another spot on there?
That letter should have said it, but if you didn't know it, is there room to squeeze one more right on that corner? Or is there something in there?
I'm gonna look into that, but again, you said Andy Frozen Casas is already over parked, or is it under? Is
It's
over?
over. So
Okay.
again, there's
Okay.
space there if there, but again, if you use that, we'd like to see a shared parking agreement between the two leasees, if you will. I know it's one owner, but we'd like to make sure that we somehow have memorialized that you are utilizing one space from their overage.
Okay.
to meet our standards.
And I'm not a lawyer, so I probably don't know that, but what I've seen usually with the agreements they have is they have access to all parking because it's one lot. Yeah,
Right.
usually there's not a lease line between the areas, so, but we'll take a look at that and also see if we can fit one in there. Thank you.
Site.
It depends on the traffic out there. I've seen as a minimum as 3 people, because usually you have one inside and you have one outside. So usually 3. Most places they usually have about 5, but it all depends on how much traffic they have so that they can get.
Do you have enough spaces for your 5
Oh, yeah, we do. It's just
just
like
the
the cities. Exactly.
That's all.
Calculation.
By square footage.
On item, on that same 65 page, the number 9 that we said you want addressed or we need to address in the CUP.
CUP, the site plan. So again, as with Andy's Frozen Custard, we're okay with the CUP, except for the addition of, we'd like to see a resolution, whether that shared parking agreement or addition of one space, to meet that underage for this particular use. And then the site plan, we have the lighting is addressed. So again, all parking area lighting should be installed and operated so as not to reflect or shine on adjacent properties in accordance with the standards established in BZO section 13.3.7 and chapter 28. That addresses that piece of it. And then again, we also want to see the trash receptacle screen with an 8-foot tall screen, constructed masonry materials of like and similar materials to the primary structure.
So our CUP needs 3 specific things. The site plan have addressing item number 9, exterior lights, and the trash receptacle issue. And the final one is one of 2 things. I don't know, either an additional parking space or a shared parking agreement to be presented to the town prior to a CO being given. Got that, everybody? Okay,
7 spaces or 6?
7.
Seven.
Yeah, I was counting 6 on here because one's a handicap. Okay, just double checking. Right. It looks like almost they could.
It almost looks like that corner can almost take one more, but I don't know what's out there.
Yeah, it could be a compact car space.
In Bartonville.
Yes. I
Yeah, what are you gonna do with the pickup truck that wants it?
Don't park there.
One of the other 5 spaces.
The pickup truck always parks in the.
All right, well, someone make a motion, please. If you're ready.
Well, see if I can get it all straight here, but I recommend to council approval of a recommendation of the conditional use permit with the condition for a shared parking agreement and approval of the site plan with the 2 items and addressing the lighting and the trash receptacle. Did I hit them all? Okay.
Did you say 3 of them or just 2? I missed it. I
Okay.
phased clear
Yeah.
out, sorry.
All right.
Second, all in favor? No opposed. Okay. That was easy. Future items.
Not sure what's going to be on next month, but yes, the hits just keep on coming.
Oh, boy.
I was told y'all were a sleepy little town when I took this gig.
Well, with no future items to discuss, we will adjourn at 7:49.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. We appreciate your.
Thank you.